Recently, in Shanghai, Lujiazui sued Su Steel Group seeking compensation of 10 billion RMB. The reason was that 7 years ago, Lujiazui spent 8.5 billion to buy a piece of land from Su Steel Group, but after the buildings were constructed, inspection found that the carcinogen level in the soil far exceeded safety standards. Back when the Chinese steel market was depressed, Su Steel Group, in an attempt to vitalize assets, listed 95% of the shares of its holding subsidiary Suzhou Luhang Real Estate Development Limited Company, abbreviated as Suzhou Luhang, for sale on the Shanghai Property Rights Exchange. The core asset of Suzhou Luhang was the land use rights to 17 state-owned land plots in Hetan, Suzhou High-Tech Zone, north of Sutong Road and east of Sugate Road, with a total planned construction area of about 1.1 million square meters within the red line boundary of about 659,500 square meters. In the same year, a subsidiary of Lujiazui acquired 95% equity of Suzhou Luhang for 8.5 billion yuan. Afterwards, Lujiazui Group built residential buildings, kindergartens, fitness parks on the land plot. During the inspection after completion of construction, it was discovered that the level of carcinogens in the soil exceeded standards. Lujiazui made the claim that since 2022, various environmental investigations have confirmed that among the 17 land plots under Suzhou Luhang, 14 plots were polluted, and the extent and degree of pollution far exceeded the contamination situation disclosed by Su Steel Group during the public listing. According to the information disclosed by Su Steel Group, in August 2016, when it was publicly listed, the soil and underground water in the non-coke production area of the Suzhou Luhang land plots were basically unaffected and could be redeveloped and utilized again. The contamination was mainly concentrated in parts of plot number 4 in the coke production area. The Lujiazui announcement stated that at the time, the company relied on trust in the publicly listed equity information, as well as reasonable reliance on the administrative actions of government departments, and acquired Suzhou Luhang's equity through a subsidiary. After the equity transfer, Suzhou Luhang had already remediated the polluted areas disclosed by Su Steel Group. However, during the environmental investigation, Lujiazui organized specialized personnel to verify and discovered that in the process of zoning adjustment and transfer of the land plots, it could not be ruled out that Su Steel Group, environmental testing agencies, and others were suspected of a series of illegal and irregular malpractices and falsifications, leading to seriously polluted land entering the public trading market. In the meantime, Lujiazui filed a civil lawsuit with the Jiangsu Provincial High Court against Su Steel Group, seeking compensation of 10 billion yuan and demanding 4 institutions, including Suzhou Environmental Science Research Institute and Suzhou Natural Resources and Planning Bureau, to bear joint liability. The Suzhou toxic land case has left entire neighborhoods looking like ghost towns. Aerial footage shows brand new apartments sitting empty at dusk with not a single light on. Driving through, not a person can be seen on the streets, as if it's a dead city from an apocalypse film. On November 10, Red Star News reporter visited the site in Suzhou High-Tech District's Hutang Town, location of the toxic land dispute between Su Steel Group and Lujiazui Group. Plot 4 is the most severely polluted. It remains undeveloped, overgrown with weeds. The water in its ponds appears black. A school was built on Plot 2 but failed inspection due to contamination and did not receive an operating permit. At the residential complex entrance, some residents have moved in, but the toxicity scandal has left homeowners desperate to sell or move out. One real estate that was originally purchased for 1.8 million yuan is now offered at 1.4 million but finds no buyer. One owner said they rented their estate out for 2,000 yuan per month after purchasing from the developer and finishing the renovations. But if more problems emerge, tenants will likely refuse to stay. Real estate agents say these units have been delisted as they cannot be sold in the short term. Commentators on Channel Panorama ask why none of the regulators discovered pollution exceeding safety standards over 6 years of construction. Did some officials knowingly break the law and cover up the toxic land? Commentator Sun Daqian says mainland China's environmental standards have long been lax. Also, as a state-owned enterprise, local governments cannot regulate Su Steel An investigation of surface water contamination in Anhui and Henan revealed severe heavy metal pollution. Samples were taken from Jieshu City in Anhui and Shenzhen City in Henan, site of a 2017 cadmium rice scandal likely caused by contaminated groundwater. An industrial park in Tianying Town, Jishou, is infamous internationally as one of the 25 most polluted places on Earth. It produces half of China's lead. The show host explains China's extreme pollution is due to systemic flaws. As an authoritarian one-party state, the central government concentrates power and micromanages all public affairs. But China is too large for the central government to effectively manage alone. They delegate authority to local governments without granting them actual autonomy, since centralized control is the top priority. This explains why Suzhou authorities could do nothing about the pollution by state-owned Steel and Lujiazui Group. As national state-owned enterprises, they are managed directly by the central government, with local governments having no jurisdiction. No matter how severe the pollution, local environmental bureaus are powerless. Under this Chinese governmental system, mainland soil pollution is extremely severe. Cadmium rice is ubiquitous, with cadmium categorized as a known carcinogen by international cancer research institutions. Long-term consumption of cadmium rice does grave harm to health, causing cancer. Hong Kong media reports soil cadmium content has risen across China, resulting in cadmium rice exceeding safety standards and posing severe public health hazards. Data from China's Ministry of Ecology and Environment and Ministry of Natural Resources show soil cadmium has increased nationwide, rising over 50% in southwest regions and coastal areas, and 10–40% in north, northeast, and western areas. This indicates cancer-causing cadmium rice is prevalent across China. The Ministry of Natural Resources Blue Book on Soil Remediation reveals 50 million acres of China's farmland suffer moderate to severe pollution, with 12 million tons of grain contaminated by heavy metals annually. Mainland agricultural biologist Zhang Kai states he found data showing soil pollution is deemed a state secret barred from public release. According to the World Health Organization's latest statistics, China ranked first globally in cancer cases and deaths in 2020, with 3.5 times more cancer deaths than India in second place. Mainland environmentalists say industrial pollution under the Chinese Communist Party's development model bears unshirkable responsibility for the high cancer rate. State media reports based on the WHO data show 4.57 million new cancer cases and 3 million cancer deaths in China in 2020, with 125,000 diagnosed daily on average. Child cancer rates are also rising, with the highest increase among children under 5 years old. Mainland environmentalist Wu Lihong states many of his friends have died from lung cancer at very young ages. Hospitals could not treat them, and they simply wasted away. China's severe pollution destroys bodily tissues and organs. Steel sold 17 toxic land plots, causing Lujiazui 10 billion yuan in losses. Who will take responsibility for the lives of homeowners and construction workers? On Plot 2 of this toxic land, Lujiazui built a school and invited the prestigious 700-year-old British Harrow School to run it. After visiting, Harrow staff smelled something odd and commissioned their own testing, discovering benzoprine levels 50 times higher than permitted limits. Benzoprine is one of the top 3 most carcinogenic compounds, inducing skin, stomach, and cardiovascular cancers through inhalation, ingestion, or skin contact. The greatest victims must be the migrant workers who built these homes, toiling day and night directly handling the toxin-laden soil. If any unfortunately contract cancer, who will compensate them? How could the testing agencies have possibly labeled the land basically unpolluted? The corruption enabling this demands investigation. These testing companies have apparently renamed themselves and used scapegoats to shirk responsibility. But we must say, it is not the land that is poisonous, but the human heart.